Alright, boys and girls, another book summary, sticking with it, going into chapter 3 of part 2 of How to Win Friends and Influence People. The title of this chapter, If You Don't Do This, You Are Headed for Trouble. Like I said, this is the second time I'm going through this book, second time reading this chapter, and this chapter is focusing on the power of referring to somebody by their name. It is the most, anywhere and everywhere you go, language that every human being will be able to interpret. And that is, remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. And again, throughout this book, the author Dale Carnegie has, throughout it, is installed a ton of different examples to speak well of the principles that he's laying out for being 6 ways to make people like you, and other bits like being a leader, how to win people in your way of thinking. So throughout this chapter, one thing that really spoke to me big time was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, president back in the 30s, right? 1930s? Testing my U.S. history here. Man who had polio. And at one point, he had a presidential car that was custom made for him because he didn't have operating legs at this particular time. And he thoroughly took the time to chat with the person that made it and the mechanic and such that visited him at the White House. And he referred to him every time by their names. And I love this quote, or this part of the story. Bear with me for a second, as I'm looking for it right now, but I had to deal with Roosevelt actually saying, oh, here we go. I say, here I go, and I actually didn't find it. Aha, here we go. When the driving lesson was finished, this is when Roosevelt was getting a driving lesson from the engineer and the mechanic, or the person that had a part in coming up with this car, or engineering it. Well, Mr. Chamberlain, I have been keeping the Federal Reserve Board waiting 30 minutes. I guess I had better get back to work. And this just speaks volumes to how this just speaks volumes to how Roosevelt put above a meeting in his line of work somebody's name. That shows you how much value he has on human interaction and how powerful names are. Indeed, most people don't remember names for the simple reason that they don't take the time and energy necessary to concentrate and repeat and fix names indelibly in their minds. They make excuses for themselves. They are too busy, but they were probably no busier than Franklin Delano Roosevelt, and he took time to remember and recall even the names of the mechanics with whom he came into contact. Thus being a little bit of the story I just shared there, with the mechanics he did come in contact with. To sum up, we should be aware of the magic contained in a name and realize that this single item is wholly and completely owned by the person with whom we are dealing and nobody else. The name sets the individual apart. It makes him or her unique among all others. The information we are imparting or the request we are making takes on special importance when we approach the situation with the name of the individual, from the waitress to the senior executive. The name will work magic as we deal with others. Again, principle 3. Remember that a person's name is to that person the sweetest and most important sound in any language. Especially when somebody's wearing a name badge, do your ultimate best to include their name in your conversation. Doesn't get any easier than that when remembering somebody's name when actually their name is plastered on their chest. Your name's there for a reason. Utilize it. Utilize it. All right. Next chapter to proceed. Coming to you from Panera. Oh, yeah.